Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. So, it was my birthday yesterday, so I've been celebrating, and it was really interesting how things kind of came together. Like, I didn't plan anything, but ASID, my professional organization, ended up having a meeting last night. And I thought, well, that'd be great. I get to be with friends, and I just thought, what a wonderful way to celebrate. And we always give away something at these things. And I won a faucet last night, a very, very expensive faucet. And so it all just kind of fit. It was so wonderful. And I had a very interesting experience yesterday. Now, I've done this kind of work in the past, and I find it really intriguing. But especially after last week, we were talking about decluttering. And the truth is, we get attached to things. And, I even talked about I have a statue that was my grandmother's. I don't want to give it away, even though it doesn't quote unquote fit my decor. Although, I don't know. I mean, it fit my grandmother's decor a lot better than it fit my decor. But actually, I think she had this one outside, so I could put her outside. Um, but we get attached to things. So I did this thing yesterday. It's called family constellation work. And it's really intriguing because let's face it, our family, we get stuck with our family, don't we? And sometimes there's conversations that need to be had. And maybe they're really sensitive. And maybe you don't talk to your parents or siblings for a variety of reasons, often very good. Um, Maybe your parents are gone and, you know, the conversation in person can't happen anymore. But we can still talk to their spirit because part of working out those attachment issues is more about how you're relating to that relationship. So, for instance, if there was some unfinished business with, let's say, your mother, and she's gone. So, what happens? Maybe you guys had a fight. Maybe it was you're 13. You had a big old fight. Let's do a little bit older. Let's do 19. You had a big old fight, and you kind of swallowed your pride, went back to her, and kind of had some kind of relationship. But that fight was still kind of always there. Maybe your mom just kind of bugged you or something about her that you loved her and everything, but you just bugged you, and you never really talked about it. And now she's gone. So that fight could still be inside you, holding you back. And how do you fix that? Because she's gone. So with family constellation work, you're actually able to have that conversation with yourself and with them. And in some ways it is your understanding of who they are. And so you're bringing your mindset into play with like what's really going on. A lot of times when we get upset about something, she always did this. But we've never looked on the other side of it. I had to do this a lot with my sister. You know, I could rail on for way too long about stupid stuff she did and stuff that just really bugged me. And the truth is, she had her own experience of the same situation that was very different than mine. Now, she had a very vivid imagination too, but regardless, in her world, it was as real as mine was. And you know, it just because it wasn't the way I saw it doesn't mean that that wasn't her real. Her truth was her truth. That was her reality. And sometimes when we can step into somebody else's shoes and see, okay, so why would they do that? What, you know, there's a wonderful thing, it's called giving grace instead of forgiveness. I think we've talked about that in the past. Let's say somebody has wronged you. And so we'll use my sister as an example. So, my sister, there's a lot of anger and a lot of confusion and there's a lot of misplaced anger in her part. Something that she felt happened that was dismissing her really wasn't, but in her mind, because she looked at fact A, she felt wronged, but she didn't. In fact, she chose even not to see the full effects of fact B. But in her world, fact A is real. 100% her world is, she could swear on Bible. Fact A is real. Fact A was real. The thing is, fact B came in and fixed fact A. And she didn't see that. She was so focused on fact A and where she felt wronged by fact A that fact B didn't even matter to her, even though fact B more than made up for fact A. And so sometimes, you know, I couldn't sit down and have a talk with her about all this. But by doing the constellation work, I didn't work on this yesterday, we worked on something else, but I'm just using this as an example. By doing this type of work, you can sit down in a non confrontational way with somebody who is intuiting for her and look at the situation from another point of view. I've done this a long time ago. I can look and see, I can see why she's upset by fact A. No problem. And I also see that she chooses not to see fact B. So I can step into her shoes for how she would feel about fact A. And I can give her grace for feeling hurt by that. Doesn't mean it excuses everything she did because she felt wronged by fact A. It just creates some understanding. And so by doing the constellation work, you're actually creating that bridge. It's kind of like the Ho'opono. The Ho'opono prayer is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. It creates a bridge. You don't even have to know what you're apologizing for. Let's face it, we talk to ourselves the worst, really. And so it's good to forgive yourself every now and then because we say horrible things about ourselves. We have horrible things. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get into it too much, but this last week with the election, there's a lot of very negative thoughts going around. And what if instead of criticizing somebody because they voted differently from you, what if you could have some ho'opono? What if you could step in their shoes for a second? It doesn't mean you have to believe what they believe, but what if you could say, oh, I can see there's another side of the coin here where somebody might have voted differently than me. And instead of hating them, have a little bit of understanding. Because I don't believe any election we vote for, quote unquote, the person running. We don't. I know I have friends personally, they vote solely on the abortion issue. And there are millions of people that vote solely on the abortion issue, one way or the other. Doesn't matter which side. That's something very, very grained in them, and they're going to vote on that. And it doesn't matter who's winning, who's running. They're going to vote on that issue no matter what. I have friends that, yes, even if Trump was Democrat and and voting for abortion, somebody quote unquote as vile as Trump even. But if they were for abortion, they wouldn't care. They would vote for him. Now that's a very controversial thing I'm saying, but it's the truth because I've seen these women over decades. I have to vote blue. I have to vote for the right to choose. I have to vote blue. I have to vote for the right to choose. Never did they say anything about who was running and whether or not they thought they were good for the country. I have to vote blue. I have to vote for the right to choose. So everybody has their own issue that they feel that strongly about. And it's not about who is at the front of that. It is about what's the main issue. What's the issue that somebody voted on? So, anyway, that's my 2 bits on the election. Let's have some grace with each other, please. And, there's a lot of different reasons people vote. So, anyway, back to constellation work. So, this is part of constellation work, right? Okay, you're diehard, pick your side. I don't care which side. You're diehard. I can't believe anybody would vote for the other side. Okay? Well, what if we could step onto that other side for just a few seconds and see, okay, what is attractive there? I know people who voted against war. I know people who voted, they were going to vote for RFK. They voted for Trump because they wanted to vote for RFK. Okay, he stopped running, but okay, he's going to have a position. Cool. There's so many reasons people vote. Some people just vote because, they've been pick your party for their lives, and that's what they do. And maybe they generations of that party, and that's what they do. So I think right now we need to all give each other a little bit of grace, because building hate over anything, any election, is going to create more ties, cords, strings that are holding us back. And that's what hate does. So when you have these unresolved feelings, when you have this stuff going on, my sister, she's still suffering because she's, I've done a lot of work on all this stuff. My sister's still suffering because of Fact A. Let me tell you, Fact A, long gone, done, repaired for. It is made up for many times over. But she doesn't see how it got rectified. She's still too hurt by Fact A that she can't see Fact B. And this has been, 35 years that she's held on to this. It's a really long time to hold on to something that is immaterial, especially when it got rectified time and time and time and time again. But she still hates. So what we can do with this family constellation work is we can cut those ties. She's got a tie to this incident. She's got a tie to what happened. And if you can let that go and be free of that tie, be free of that hate, be free of that cord, her attitude towards the world is shaped by this Fact A. And how the world reacts to her has nothing to do with that. How she should be reacting to the world has nothing to do with that fact. And we all have this in our life. I'm siblings have rivalries, you know. I'm just trying to use an example that's easy. But we all have that person, that thing, that incident that we hold on to and are afraid to let go. But once you let go of whatever that is, you get to be free of it. You know, instead of coming at her life from a place of hate, and she could look at her life at a place from gratitude. And that's really what we need to do. When we start looking at our life from a place of gratitude, it changes so much. But if you look at your life as everybody's out to get me, everybody's picking on me, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get more of everybody picking on you. But if you look at your place, hey, Mark.
Yeah, I was listening, just enjoying your conversation, everything. I was also just going to come on and say happy birthday because actually there was something that you shared, which I had not realized and I had forgotten about, even though you probably mentioned it and all along those lines. But I'll actually be going because her daughter, and their only daughter, because he had some kids by a previous marriage and he's no longer here, but my Aunt Julie and Uncle Randy, their daughter Tanya, my cousin, will be celebrating. I believe it's her 80th birthday. My Aunt Julie's birthday, and her birthday was actually, because I think you said your birthday was yesterday. Her birthday was actually 2 days ago. So her birthday was on the 6th, but we're going to have a birthday party for her on Sunday. So there's a Southern cooking restaurant, and we're going to go there. Her family from both the Walker and the Lynch side and other sides, and just friends as well, will be there to celebrate her life and to have a joyous occasion of being there with Aunt Julie and all along those lines. So we'll get there and grub and joke and to have fun and just kind of like have a good time with Aunt Julie. And I'm pretty sure that this is 80th, if I remember correctly. And talking about grace and everything,
Yeah.
that actually happened because I got an invite to this party. And again, I got a call from Tanya recently and everything. And she was like saying, you didn't accept the invite. And I was like, yes, I did. And then she was like, no, you didn't. And I said, yes, I did. And then she went and checked and she realized that I had actually sent my invite invitation in. So she called me back and she was like, you were right. You did send it in. And I was like, yes, I told you that I had sent it in. I was one of the first people that sent it in and everything. But yes, we just had that moment where she was thinking that I was being slow. Because as you know, and I've said it on this show, I can be a procrastinator. So she probably already assumed that I had procrastinated. But in that case,
She
it's
made
just
an
like,
assumption ahead of time.
right.
And, you know, and that's what we do. Oftentimes, that leads to so much conflict is when you start making assumptions about somebody based on one fact. And we've seen that a lot. I don't want to go dwell too much on politics, but we've seen a lot of that. You know, I've said stuff on Facebook and chats and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, well, you know, you must be a Trumper," and I'm like, "What I said had nothing to do with Trump," you know, and but because I said something that challenged their thinking at all, well, I must be a Trumper, and I'm like, you know what? To assume, because take one fact and then you create, and we've done this for years. I mean, it's just this particular election has been really, really, really bad in this department. But you take a look at somebody, they're fat, they're skinny, they're tall, they're short, and they one fact about them, and suddenly you're writing their whole life, and that's not true. We need to give each other time to tell
But
each
Jeanette,
other the time to tell their true story and not make judgments about somebody just because,
But
you know,
Jeanette, are we quick to make judgments and everything? Kind of what you're saying, and that's even part of grace, which is what I know you're talking about and everything. Because I was talking to a friend, and I was telling him about a newer friend that I've had in the social media space and everything, and they have been through a woman that has been through the judicial process, and they have also, meaning they've spent time in the system, and they have also been tattooed and all along those lines. And some of my business friends have automatically made assumptions based on this
on the
particular
tattoo.
person, based on the tattoos and based on the fact that they've been in prison, and people can change just like people can grow and everything like that. So just because you've been in one situation that might have put you in a negative situation doesn't mean that you'll always be that way.
and and we grow, I mean, there's the age old thing, like, how does a diamond get to be a diamond? It takes a lot of pressure.
Right.
And, I have a very dear friend of mine who, when he was 16 through 22, raging alcoholic, horrible. He doesn't, he's ashamed. It is who he was at that time. It is not who he desires to be anymore. And he changed. He changed. And sometimes we have to go through the fire and get that hardened process. And some people, that fire looks different than other people, you know. And every one of us goes through fire. I've been through so many things I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, and I'm grateful for who it made me. And I think every single one of us can say that.
Yeah.
And but I think that what needs to create the diamond in each of us is different.
Yeah.
We get, back to what I was saying, is like, when we're holding on to these stories, when we're holding on to how somebody wronged me, and you're not willing to look past how things got rectified, or look at how things got rectified, it it just keeps you stuck. It keeps you from becoming that diamond. So we have to let go of the hate. We have to let go of the victimhood in order to achieve that bright shininess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes the stories can be there for a reason. Because, like I said, this particular person has told me that some of those tattoos are to remind them. Because, like I
Yeah,
said, I don't always understand the tattoos. I think one is a bird, one might be a bottle. We probably represented that they were going through some stuff as well. But those tattoos are there to remind them of that past. So sometimes you need to be reminded. Sometimes you want to have the past gone totally in a race, but sometimes you need that reminder so you don't fall back into those circles. And some people do it different ways, whether it's journaling, which some people do, and some people do it through body art and everything like that. I am, like you, sometimes frustrated when I don't have to agree with everybody that's in my life and everything, but there are people that are out there, and I've even seen some of those same social media posts that you're talking about that are ready to divorce their friends and family based on a difference of opinion, and it could make for some interesting Thanksgivings, because Thanksgiving's getting ready to come up in about 3 weeks and
that's
everything. So,
why I've been talking, like, let's let go of this hate now, because a lot of people are getting together for the holidays.
right,
Like, really, I mean, I believe in natural health. Now, does that mean I'm not going to be around anybody that doesn't believe in natural health? No, I have some wonderful friends that they run to the doctor fast. You know, do I want my immediate, my most important people in my world to believe in natural health? Absolutely.
right,
You want to be in my inner core, then that is something that is important to me, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker either. And if I have a very dear friend who's very, very left. I'm not very anything, but there's some topics we don't talk about. We She wants to try to get into politics, and she's like, "Did you see this? Did you see that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see it. Did you see this? Did you see that?" I didn't see it.
but
And sometimes I'm like, "Okay, so what's going on here? Give me the stuff." And she's very knowledgeable, and we but we can have conversations that she's far left than me,
I got you. But
and
Jeanette,
we can still be friends. Like, we've known each other for a long time, and we still love each other, and we're still really good friends, and it's
but I had
that's
another interesting conversation. It's kind of based on what you're saying, which kind of goes into grace and having grace with people. Because of his health issues, one of my best friends and everything, uh, there's a group of us, well, me and the photographer for the Road to the Apollo, we probably once a month or once every month and a half go out to lunch, and oftentimes, or a few of the times, we'll also invite another partner in that organization, which is my longtime friend Ray in and everything. The last time I talked to Martin, and I've actually got Gary to call Martin shortly and everything, he was like, let's let Ray pick this time, because it's usually I usually wind up picking, but sometimes I think Martin has picked and everything, and he was basically trying to have some grace and everything. But when I called Ray and asked him that, Ray knows that his dietary constraints, because he had a stroke, are going to make his choices limited. So he didn't want to take that responsibility. I won't say he didn't want to take the responsibility, but he didn't want to thrust his restriction on us. So he basically turned it back over to us, basically saying, I've enjoyed y'all's picks. Y'all go ahead and pick, because I don't think that he wanted to think that his dietary constrictions were going to go against our dietary styles that are much different than his,
And it's
because
difficult.
he's limited in what he can have. I'm not limited, but you know what I'm saying. It's dietary
Right.
control.
I mean, back when I had interstitial cystitis, we were involved in several groups that would have potlucks and and stuff like that. And I there's some people, well, I can't eat this and this and this and this and this, so you can't make it. And and it's like, no, wait a minute, it's a potluck. I bring my dish that I know I can eat,
Right,
and that's what we did. Is I would make, if I didn't eat nothing else, I ate my dish.
right,
And I didn't expect them. And sometimes they'd be, "Oh, Jeanette, how come you're not eating that?" I'm like, "Well, I can't have that." "Oh, well, we didn't realize." And I'm like, they didn't remember anything anyway. I mean, I there was one time, I don't know what we somehow we got to start talking about families and stuff, and they I don't hold my family structure secret. I very happily tell my family story. And like, none of them knew it. It was so obvious what they were saying, and I'm like, "You don't listen to me," you know? So, even if I had told them, "Well, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, I can't eat that," they wouldn't have listened anyway. So, who cares, right? But if you've got a special diet, you know, I don't think, it's a dual thing. Like, okay, if you got somebody who's a diabetic, well, you're not gonna go to the ice cream store. I don't know if you had Farrell's. Did you guys have Farrell's back east?
and what's the restaurant?
Farrell's? Farrell's? This is a long time ago.
I don't think we had Pharaoh's.
When I was a
We
kid,
had a couple of those icy places like Penguins. It was
yeah.
one and everything, and or I think it
So
was called Penguins.
when I was a kid, there was a chain here called Farrell's, and it was ice cream thing, and they'd serve you like this big thing with like 26 scoops.
Oh
That was
well,
like their in for a birthday party or something. It was huge, and nobody could finish it. But they'd run around and clang things, and they had the old barbershop hats, and it was kind of fun. I'm dating myself, but anyway. But like, you're not going to take somebody who's diabetic to an ice cream parlor and stick 6 scoops of ice cream in front of them, or
right,
even two. Like, that's insensitive. But at the same time, you're diabetic. Okay, well, I'm going to order what I need to order,
right.
and or I'm going to eat what I can eat. Thanksgiving's coming up. Okay, so, well, you know, maybe you don't serve the sweet potatoes with the cinnamon and the marshmallows and maybe you can do that for some people, but have some regular vegetables out that's not covered in crap, so that the person who's diabetic can eat that, and nobody else is losing anything. But it just doesn't have to be stuff that's full of crap that's going to put them in a horrible space. So I think there's grace on both parts. Like, let's have some understanding. There's a place in the middle that's cool. And like you said, your friend said, okay, I'll work with whatever you guys work,
Right.
you know, because you guys like different stuff, so that's fine. But like, there's a place things can meet in the middle, and everybody gets to win. Why does it have to be only one person wins?
Well, that's that win mentality that a lot of West has and everything, or Western mentality. And I agree with you. Don't have to have that everybody wins kind of attitude, or the winner takes all kind of attitude. Even on this network, I've had a person that has said that even about politics, is that the winner takes all and the winner is in control. So, because he was making the opposite argument of what you've made, and now he was not a Trump supporter, but he was basically saying that since Trump won, he gets to dictate, and he said the same thing about like Israel and other places. So I, for one, am not a backer of that opinion. I think that even in war, the losing side can have some grace, like you're saying, and something that they get out of it as well. But that's not his attitude. My particular co-host and everything, because I'm going like, no, it's not the Napoleon factor. I think he's more thinking like Napoleon, where the winner gets to get to conquer all if they win.
Well, the thing is, so a couple things. What I've seen a lot of is people talking about unity.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people I've seen talking about unity basically means everybody should think like them. That's not unity.
No, that's groupthink.
That's not unity.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people thinking, "Oh my God, the view. Oh my God, the world just died." Okay, well, everything died because Trump is in. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't believe that any politician is going to be our savior. There's so many people that thought, oh, Kamala is going to be our savior. There's a lot of people who thought Trump is going to be our savior. I don't believe any politician is going to be our savior. We have to save ourselves. It's the inner work that we got to do. That's what saves us. Depending on anybody else, I don't care who they are, spouse, parent, sibling, child, president, to save us is not okay. How we get to be our best selves is like something that has to be a conversation within ourselves so that we know our best selves. Because you cannot be your best self if you're sitting there saying, pick your candidate is going to save us. It's not going to happen.
Well, but
So,
you had a lot of
hang
that.
on. So they had, so that attitude is bad, first of all. But there was a lot of people, Kamala's going to save us. Kamala's going to save us. Okay. And, Trump's going to save us. Thing is, here's the truth. We've already been through 4 years of Trump. Guess what? He's not a dictator. We all survived. We've every single one of us have lived through another president that we didn't like. A lot of people didn't like George W. A lot of people didn't like Obama. Both of them had 2 terms. And guess what? We're still here. So this doomsday of everything's going to go wrong because Trump is there. I just saw he made his chief of staff a woman for the first time. We have a woman chief of staff. Okay, so all these people scared to death that women's power just died. Look what happened. It just got raised. So here, just like my sister, it's doomsday. Oh my God, Trump is going to kill us. Trump is this. Trump blah 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 blah. Okay, but now look, here's another thing over here. Like, okay, why are we not looking at this and saying, hey, this is a win? And so this is what we got to do is instead of focusing on ouch, that hurts. Okay, yes, ouch, that hurts. But let's look at how this ouch can get better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. And like you said, there's on both sides, and I hate both sidism, but there is both sides in this.
Both sides are equally, they're bad.
There's a lot of both savior mentality, but also a lot of demonizing. Because I mean, yeah, you have a lot of people that were on the very much avid supporters of Trump, and I'm not saying I don't know which way you voted, don't care which way you voted, but I'm saying, but there were avid supporters that would say that he is about to be the savior, and yet there are folks that are concerned that he's going to be the antichrist as well. So there you get both sides of that tale. And
so what I can already see happening is he's going to get in office, and the first day he's going to do some executive orders, just like Biden did. And the left is going to say, oh, he's becoming a dictator overnight. But the same exact action, they applauded like crazy when Biden did it. So this is, and both sides are guilty of this. This is just an example. Okay. But you can't sit there and say it's okay when our guy does it, and it's not okay when the other side does it.
Yeah.
That's a hypocrite. And yes, Biden put in some things that they liked. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? I don't think that was a smart move politically, personally. I think that, I don't know. I don't remember if they even said exactly what he changed, but he started signing bills in right executive orders in right away. And even if Trump does it, it to me it does not look like a president who wants to work with the people. Period.
Mhm.
That like like it's not because it's Biden. No, that does not look like a president to me that wants to, you know. Now I don't remember what he signed in, so maybe it was something that had to be. But considering where we were at the time, it looked very authoritarian, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and that would say that no matter who it was,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But this is what gets me is like you can't sit there and say, okay, it was awesome that Biden went and did that, and now there's a very high likelihood that Trump will do the same thing. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Like
Well, because
there
he
needs
already said
to
he's
be
going to do it. He's
some.
already said he was going to deal with certain issues like immigration, which probably needs fixing. I mean, Trump apparently did some stuff that changed, and that's why there was a rise in his support among African American males and everything along those lines. But he may do some more prison reform and everything like that, and some people will applaud it. Some people won't applaud it. Now, one of the things I'm hoping he does, and I haven't yet to see either party do it as much as I would like. You know, I think Obama did some of it and everything, and there have been others that have done it. But like here in North Carolina, where I'm at, we have a very unique system. It didn't work out this time that way this time around, but because both the governor and the lieutenant governor are um, elected at the same time and everything, there have been a few times that we have had um, the opposite parties being on in the office together. So like this last time, the lieutenant governor who ran and he had some crazy views that some people liked and some people definitely didn't like and everything. But he was a Republican, African American Republican. His person that could not run because you can only run 2 terms was a Democrat. So but they had to work together, and then that in
That's
North
what
Carolina, not the
our
only
system is
state, but there are
supposed
other
to
states that are
do.
unique that way as well. But
See,
I wish
that's
that
what our system is supposed to do. And here's the other dirty rotten secret is when they're not fighting for election, these people are out in the golf course, in
oh
the
yeah.
bar, in the Congress, and they're making deals together and they're friends.
Oh yeah.
They're friends. Like they know who to go to. This whole, red versus blue, blue versus red, you must hate each other. That's to create hate for us. That doesn't exist up there.
No, and like I said, and I wish that they would show that. Like you, I wish they would show that more to the public because they do get together, they hang out together, including some people that are not supposed to be friends and everything. I wouldn't be surprised. One, because one of them is a bartender. The other seems like they like to have a good time, and I'm not saying that in a negative sense, but even though they put on this persona, and I don't know this for a fact, they might actually hate each other. But I would not be surprised if AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene don't sometimes hang out at the same bar and everything. Because there are certain DC bars and they're supposed to be opposite ends. Like AOC is supposed to be extreme
Well,
left and
is
Marjorie is supposed to be extreme right.
the thing is, like, in order for them to get stuff done, they
Yeah,
have to work together.
right, exactly.
That's just the reality,
Yeah,
and we've all seen the bills. The truth is, they sit there and go, "I'll give you this if you give me that."
right.
They make deals all the time, and it's like, "Well, I don't, we don't like this thing. Okay, we'll take this out here, but you got to put this in over there." Happens all the time,
No, it does happen
and
all the
so
time.
it's all about compromise and yes, if they have the majority, whichever side has the majority has a little bit more power and they can get a little bit more done. But then what happens? The pendulum swings.
Yeah,
We
the
had
pendulum's
8 years
going
of
to go back
Obama.
and forth.
We had 8 years of Obama. That was whenever we've had 2 terms of one, it usually swings the other way.
Yep. And like I
And
said,
so then it went to the right. It was bound to go to the right because we had a long time of being at the left. So then it went to the right.
yep.
And then there was this huge campaign of anybody's better than Trump, and boy, that got tested. So it swung to the left. Well, that didn't go so well. We're all, a lot of us are struggling with food, with money. Like, okay, well, it's swinging the other way. Like, it, it just, this is what the pendulum does. Is whenever it goes too far one way, it swings back the other way, and
No,
it's not
like
an issue of the party is bad, whichever party it is. It's an issue of People are saying, "Wait, this doesn't feel good. Whoosh, we're gonna swing the other way. We're gonna swing the other way." And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with who necessarily it is. It's okay, it's time for change.
And change can be great. And like I said, get ready to go hear a person that's going to talk mostly about poverty because he's been doing a war on poverty for a while, Reverend Barber, when I go to Hayti later on this afternoon and everything. But and I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on the political system as well. Now, just to be honest with you and everything, and I know you come from California, which is a very liberal state and everything, but as I said on one of our other shows, and I've already seen it because there was like some racist text that came out recently talking about report toward the plantation, and there was a woman that was in the news. I think it was yesterday or today because she accosted a Mexican worker and everything, making stereotypes and everything. So I even did it yesterday because, as I said on one of our other shows, I saw four young people, and they were could have been part of either the Middle Eastern or Latin gang, and they were flashing pictures of each of a young lady. It could have been, like I said on my Facebook post, from Tinder or AI for all I know. But it was very easy because I've caught myself almost doing it to profile and everything. So I just hope that we don't get caught up in that because that's kind of what happened last time in
Well,
some
you know
past.
what? That's where we have to make a choice. Are we gonna let the media teach us to hate, or are
Right,
we gonna choose love?
right.
That's really what it comes down to. Because the media has been teaching us to hate for really, it's really gotten bad since Obama. That's my perspective. Um, as far as what I've seen of the media, and I'm not watching it all the time, but I think that there was definitely a corner that turned with Obama, and the level of hate that the media has pitted party against party increased tremendously at that point. There was another shift when Clinton was in office. That um, that to me was a huge shift in politics in my lifetime. Anyway, I saw, we saw stuff that we hadn't seen before. But I my opinion is that the level of, and part of it was there was a lot of hate over George W. So there was a lot of hate there, and um,
I hear what you're
the
saying.
retaliation came in with Obama, and and it's gotten worse with each election. And the
Well, I want
the
to come back to your notion of grace because, as I've said on another show, and everybody tells me that I don't need to worry about this individual, and I will use the term that they like to use and everything because they would be they and everything. But to me, and they, in the one writing that I heard, they seem like they are prepared to go and do the work of the people that they are representing. And I think they're representing it's one of the northeastern cities. It might be Delaware or Maine or one of those things. But apparently, for the first time ever, he's talking about the first female person in terms of being the chief of staff. But there has never been, and that became a campaign slogan in one form or fashion for a lot of campaigns. There's never been a transgender person in Congress, but there's about to be a transgender person, and the first one ever that'll be there and everything. So I hope that those that are in Congress give that person due respect and don't try to make judgments based on them wanting to be they and all along those lines because they are uh, coming in as a transgender. I mean, they'll only be the only transgender, so I don't know that they'll have to make concessions in terms of like bathroom space and stuff like that. But maybe they will because I know that even when we've had events at Hayti, sometimes convert one of the bathrooms into a unisex bathroom for those folks that are wanting that unisex bathroom for whatever reasons and everything. So I don't know what they'll do in Congress, but they're literally coming into a space that is hostile to some degrees to that community.
well, so I work in a field where there's a lot of people that are quote unquote not normal. Like,
But
don't fit the normal, like, we're very creative. Like, there's a bunch of different, there's a lot of gay people. Not that gay people aren't normal, but like they don't fit, what I mean. So what I have seen over and over is the people who are truly not comfortable with who they are inside. And this happens, I don't care what your sexuality, what your race is, what your sex is, what anything. If you're not comfortable with who you are, you do not command respect. If
You
you're coming from a
what?
place of victimhood, you do not, you look like a freak yelling, please pay attention to me. If you come from a place of, this is who I am, you don't have to shout, I'm proud, I'm here, deal with it. What was the gay thing? Like I'm queer, I'm here, whatever
Something
it
like
was.
that.
You don't have to shout it. A true leader doesn't have to shout, I'm the leader. A true leader is a leader. So those people who are comfortable in their own bodies, in their own skin, who know what they stand for and who they are, those people are accepted no matter what because they own themselves. When you're coming, this is my problem with some of the LGBTQ because I've seen LGBTQ who they just own who they are
Mhm.
and they get all the respect. The world is their. But the ones who sit there and go, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, like they look like these little crying babies. And so and I was just talking about my sister. My sister is 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide. And she sits there, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. She's no victim. She's 6 foot tall and 3 feet wide. She's nobody's victim. Physically, she's nobody's victim. But because she comes at life with this I'm a victim mode, she becomes life's victim. And she gets a lot of ass kicking, because that's what she focuses on. But when you stand up in your power of whatever that is, this is who I am, it's a whole different reaction.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that and everything. And there can be victim mentality, but there can also be some real concerns that people have, because I am one of those people that believes and have believed that all my life ever since my dad took over somebody that was being abused when I was I want to say either a teenager in my young 20s and everything. We were living in rural North Carolina and all along those lines. So I do know that I'm not saying that every victim has to have that victim mentality, but there are real things that are going on that need to be addressed that can
There's
cause.
struggles. Absolutely, there's struggles. I'm not saying that the struggles aren't real.
Right.
I'm not saying struggles aren't real. The question is, how do you deal with a struggle? Do you lay down and do you say, oh, somebody fix this for me? Or do you find your power and say, I will not let somebody put me down?
But, I mean,
That's the difference.
yeah, that's the difference. Like I said, even during apartheid, I remember there was I think it was a poster, but it was a person who was basically having, like being stomped down on and everything. And I remember that poster very vividly, even though I'm not describing it the best and everything along those lines. But yeah, you can decide not to be uh, the victim, and you can also get people to uh, join you in the fight against whatever the victimizing forces are and everything. So I don't think that that's the same as saying I'm a victim, as saying that this isn't right and we need to correct it. And so that's all I'm saying. So there are things that
Yeah,
are wrong, and we can acknowledge that they are right and try to work on helping those. Because I am a big believer in, some people say it's a misused term, but I do believe in allies. So I do believe that there are people that may
absolutely.
not be part of your lifestyle, but can identify with what you're going through and can be true allies, whether that's me being an ally to the LGBT community because I'm a straight male and everything, or whether that's allies that I can have as an African American individual. So that, and having some native roots too. So there can be people that can be allies to that identity that are like European American.
We need people that can. I mean, this goes back to the whole grace thing. We need people around us who can step in our shoes for a little bit,
Right,
for a minute. How does this person feel?
right, exactly.
Okay, doesn't mean you have to live in. Doesn't that mean you have? But how can giving each other grace, hearing out about everybody's struggle. Every single one of us who is born, every single one of us on this planet has something we've struggled against. Nobody gets a free ride.
No, I mean,
All of us have had some kind of struggle that we've learned from, that has shaped us, that has molded us, and and how did we come out of it? And if we came at life with, instead of going, oh, here's my big wound on my chest, what if we came out and said, here's my big power. Maybe here's my wound, but over it there's a band-aid, and this is the power I got from it. What a different world it would be.
I mean, were there two
What
books
a
that I'm
different world it would be. My sister had everything given to her. Everything was given to her. If she had given up that little thing that she feels, she was totally wronged for, her life would have been completely different because
No,
of something that happened. She was like 8 years old, and she took that to this is my whole life.
no, I hear what you're saying, and definitely weight can be an interesting issue, and think well, can have that issue because yeah, there can be weight shaming and
Weight has to do with not feeling safe.
right,
Weight has to do with, you're hiding.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
And I don't know. Well, I have some guesses as to why she's 300 pounds, but I don't know that any of them are true. I just can guess. But
it could be everything from dietary. I mean, like the body chemistry to it can be some people eat out of frustration because I know some people that have gotten fat or get gained weight, even myself included, because of eating not necessarily because they're hungry, but because it's like it's comfort food is what they call it, and everything, and you can gain weight with comfort food and everything. I would recommend, and we're getting ready to wind down and everything along those lines, two books that kind of is what you're talking about about grace and everything. And one of them is an old movie that Melvin Van Peebles did and everything, and it's been out for a long time. But if you've never seen Watermelon Man, I would recommend people go see it because it looks at racism, identity, and empowerment. And it's a film literally about a white insurance salesman who woke up, and I think it was made in the '60s, back in 1962, or in the early no 1970s, made in
he
1970,
made himself
and
black.
he woke up as an African American man and everything, and also on the class side and
I have
everything,
heard of that. I have heard of that. I
and
haven't
also
read it, but I have heard of it.
and it's a movie, and also Pursuit of Happiness, which is more about class
That's
and
a good
everything.
one.
But it was a person that and
That
Will
was a
Smith did
beautiful
it.
movie.
Yes, yeah. And I actually have the book and
Beautiful
I
movie.
met the man that the book was based on because he came and spoke at a not the Haytime, the center I work at, but he spoke at North Carolina Mutual, and I had a chance to meet the gentleman and everything. So it was
And
interesting to
see,
hear.
that goes exactly into what I was talking about. He didn't let any circumstance take him down.
Right,
He was like, I'm going to fix this.
right,
And that man had so much faith, it wasn't funny.
yeah,
And so that's what that's the beautiful part of humanity.
yeah,
Instead of, you know, sitting there defiling people because they don't agree with you. I saw so many people the other, if you didn't vote my way, I want you to unfriend me. You know what? That was full of hate in and of itself. And when I had my miscarriage, there's a lot of people I unfriended because they had babies or grandbabies, and it's not that I hated them. I couldn't bear seeing the babies.
right.
But I didn't go on my Facebook and say, if you just had a baby, unfriend me. That's like that's
No,
that
man, a lot of that social media has got people
it's
in special ways in their feelings and everything. So,
so if you're seeing posts you don't like, unfriend them. You don't need to make it a big thing. And it's like, okay, and that's the other thing too, is like, well, if you didn't vote my way, then I want you to unfriend me. Why is it my responsibility to unfriend you? If you don't like me, you unfriend me. You know?
right,
Like this it's backwards. It's backwards.
okay. But what's not backwards is food.
Food. Yummy, yummy. It's almost lunchtime. I got a lunch date today. I'm excited.
Cool. You got a lunch date. I got to get to work and hear what Reverend Barbara's got to say. But that means it's almost time for Kendu spices because you can always
Woohoo.
get some good spices.
All right.
Cool. We'll get ready to get some Kendu spices right now. Let's
Cool.
check out that.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.